Excited to be joining you tonight. My name is Gill, and I am the founder of the Collada Group and the host of the System Save Me podcast. And today I'm really going to dive into a strategy that I used all of 2017 and frankly still am using it in 2018 to really grow my operations business. Now, really quick background of me. I have worked on the teams of some really big folks like Melanie Duncan, Hillary Rushford, Carolyn Soldo, Lisa Keeker, Grant Baldwin, Hallie Gray, lots of folks that you might recognize the names of. And I'm super honored to have started my journey that way. And I worked on their team. So I was actually getting a retainer from them. A few of them were hourly, but that was pretty rare. So I won't go into packages too much, but now I actually build my business doing intensives for people, which is very different than being on their team as part of their actual ongoing operations. And so I decided though that I want to work with people short term, and I didn't really know who the audience was for that. I just knew that people that I was used to working with making $2 million, $3 million and above, they didn't necessarily, that wasn't going to fit their particular needs. So I really was looking at the space of $500K to $2 million. So I had to start with figuring out who these people even were, right? And I'm sure that you've learned this from other people about packaging, but really what it came down to is I don't like to do Facebook ads. Plus, Facebook ads aren't the best way for my particular business on how to get clients. And honestly, neither is email list, neither is social media. My business has solely been built through events. You're gonna be like, what are you talking about here? And I'm going to go through kind of the 5 parts of my event marketing strategy that I used to get clients, because my clients were at physical events. Either they were speaking or they were there in attendance, and I was going to be there to really increase my know, like, and trust factor. And that really helped me scale my business. Also, I knew that people in that kind of $500K to $3 million mark also knew other people who they were either coaching and all that stuff. And so I actually went to not necessarily my clients, but my clients' client, basically the coaches of my clients. And that's kind of how I really built my referral partner program, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But I want to kind of give you a high level view of these 5 parts of my event marketing strategy. So the first one was attendance. I had to figure out which events I actually needed to attend, because trust, there are a lot of events constantly going on, and it can be really hard to know which ones are right for you. And for me, events weren't about the content per se, but they were about who's speaking, who's a potential client of mine, and who's going to be attending, are they potential clients. So for me, I was looking for business coaches, marketing coaches, and social media coaches. And the reason I was honing in on events that those people would be at is that I wanted to have them be referral partners. So they were the ones, because again, people don't talk about how messy their business is behind the scenes on social media or out there, because then it makes them look like they're a bad business owner and that they don't know what they're talking about. So I had to get to the coaches who actually know who has the messy back ends, who needs help with their operations, and just like a quick jolt of consulting. So those were my targets, because then they could refer people to me and do my marketing for me, which is amazing. So attendance is really the main first phase. Again, it's who's going to be there, how long is the event, all that stuff. And I'll get into how I found the events that I ended up going to, all that good stuff in a PowerPoint in a quick sec. Next is audience. So this was really thinking of, okay, when I arrive there, one, do I get an actual breakdown of who is going to be there? So sometimes they have Facebook groups beforehand. Sometimes they have pre-calls with speakers. And I'm very attentive to that, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to be known. And so the audience part is really big because you want to think about, again, how can I stand out to those people that I want to get to know, and either make myself look like an expert or make them look really good, which is another thing that a lot of people don't think about. And there's a lot of opportunities to do that at any level of event. Then you think about accommodations, which I'm sure you're like, great, Jordan, it's really awesome that you did all these events. That's a lot of money. The answer is yes, it can be, but I am very intentional about the way that I do things, because I'm not trying to just spend a bunch of money. I see events as a marketing cost. So instead of Facebook ads, instead of, paying for other types of marketing, SEO, all of that, I chose to put all of my eggs in the event basket because it became very proven, and it was a lot easier for me to see the direct ROI, or return on investment, of me going to events. So instead of $500 to $1,000 on Facebook ads, I would spend $500 to $1,000 going to an event. And there's also ways to get the lowest ticket price. There's also ways to volunteer at events, so you literally are getting the ticket for free. So many things. I'm super excited to dive into that. And then aesthetics. So this is kind of a funky one, but I actually am very strategic about what I wear, how my hair is, what accessories I'm wearing, the type, if I wear a tote bag versus a backpack, heels or Sperry's, yoga pants, how can I show up to stand out? And that doesn't necessarily always mean, a cute Ted Baker dress. It could mean that I am wanting to be perceived as approachable. And so, I'll kind of go super, super casual, but maybe have like a statement watch or statement earrings, so that it's a way for people to come and compliment me. And again, I just know that my clients tend to love aesthetics. And so how I present myself is very, very crucial. And the last one is attention. So again, when I'm at the event, how am I going to stand out? Am I going to ask a question when a speaker's talking? Am I going to, create like a meetup, which I've done numerous times. I've created a meetup, I've seen who was going, and I actually emailed them all and said, hey, I'm going to go to dinner, and I've created a space for me to talk directly to my clients. And because of the amount of money that I save, usually in the accommodations part, I'm actually able to then pay for their meal, which helps you stand out tremendously, because it makes you feel loved. And there's this level of reciprocity that happens where if someone does something for you, you're like, well, what can I do for you? How can we continue this relationship? Because for me, it's always about giving first. I don't think about what I can get from them, what am I trying to suck out of them, which a lot of people come to you with. I say, hey, you want me to shout out your podcast episode? Or, oh, you're looking for a really great tech VA? I know of a few. Here's some awesome people that I would back up. It's all about how are you going to get the attention of somebody? And it always starts with giving. And there are numerous things that I do to give first, and then think of, okay, then I'll ask for something. And it doesn't come out of a weird place because I've already done something for you. And most people, actually start that conversation of, hey, thank you so much. What's going on in your world? What can I do to support you? And that's really easy. It's oh, awesome. Well, actually, this is something that I think would be really awesome. So the 5 parts are attendance, audience, accommodations, aesthetics, and attention. So the 5 A's for my event marketing strategy, and I'm going to break down each one and really how intentional, strategic I am. You might think I'm a crazy person, which is partially true, but it also just shows you that there are so many ways to get clients, and especially a certain level of client. So 500K to that 2 million mark, they're at events. They're either speaking or attending, and you need to be there. So stay tuned. I'm going to hop on over to my PowerPoint and share with you again some of these like tactical, practical things that you can do if event marketing sounds like something you want to do. All right, y'all. I'm going to be going through my 5-phase event marketing strategy, and to be quite honest, this is the first time I'm sharing this. So I am really excited. It's something that I've talked to people about who are, in my close circles and all that good stuff. But honestly, I didn't know that people, that this was really different from what everyone else was doing. So here we go. So like I said, part 1 is the attendance part. This is, how do you find events to attend? Which events should I attend? How many events should I attend? Where are these events? All these questions are in the initial phase of just attendance. And so the biggest thing is for me to figure out which events I should attend. I'm okay with travel, but if I was wanting to stay in my local area, then I would just look for events that are in driving distance. So just depends on what you're comfortable with and everything else. So how you find these events is honestly being on people's email lists that you care to know if they're going to be holding an event. And then also when you're doing connection chats with people and building other relationships, I always ask, what events are you going to? Because if I like this person, I want to find more people like them. And if they go to this specific event, I'm going to put it on my radar. So I just have kind of a running list of events that I want to keep track of, that I then get on the email list of those people, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as far as which events should I attend, I really stick to events that, again, like I mentioned previously, have business coaches, marketing coaches, and social media coaches. So to me, I go to a lot of coach-specific events because they are the ones who are talking to people about their businesses and know if it's messy back there. And honestly, the coaches don't want to talk about systems. They don't want to talk about how to integrate their active campaign with ClickFunnels or how to, create their Dubsado workflows, all of those sorts of things. So I am a perfect fit as a referral partner for them because it makes them look good because they still are serving their clients, but they aren't the ones who have to answer the questions. Ding, ding, enter Jordan. So which events should I attend? Events that those sorts of people go to. Those events, range from 10 people to, I've been to events of over 5,000 people. I would say my sweet spot of where I feel like I am best suited and can really connect with people is between 50 and 150 guests. Those sorts of events are the ones that I really like to put on my radar and put on my calendar. Not to say that I don't go to the smaller or the larger, because I do, but it just really, really depends. So think about how big the rooms are that you want to be in. And how many events should I attend? So this is an interesting question because I usually am going to one event a month at the very least. Again, it's a marketing expense for me, so I need to be marketing my business pretty consistently. There are some months that I've been to 3 events as well, so it just really depends. But I would say at least, if you're really wanting to make a difference, I would say 1 a quarter. And if you can't make it like super evenly dispersed like that, then maybe just go to 3 or 4 events a year. And you should, if with being super strategic, you should be able to see a difference in your business. And again, where are these events? Make sure that if you don't really want to go cross country for stuff, then, just look on the West Coast or just look in the 3 biggest cities that are nearest you. You may not find events in your particular city if you're in a smaller, more rural area. But again, just finding really the 3 cities that are closest to you and keeping tabs on events going on in that local area. So that's really where the attendance kind of stuff goes. Next is audience. So who do I want to connect with? Who's going to be attending? Who's speaking? And who can come with? Who can be an event buddy? So In this particular picture, I was hosting a get-together at my townhome, and the gal in the striped shirt to my right is Lindsay Padilla, and we have gone to several events together. She's one of my event buddies. Also, Jerisha Hawk is another event buddy of mine. To the left of me is Jamie Jensen. We've been biz besties for 4 or 5 years. We go to events together. So it really just is like, who can come along to keep costs down or to help me connect with other people and all of that good stuff. But back to who you want to connect with. Again, for me, it's coaches. For you, it might be other product-based businesses or influencers or podcasters, so you can be on other people's podcasts. Be very specific on who you are trying to connect with at the events. And think about, again, are they attending? Are they speaking? Who are these people and what is the level of attendance that they are going to have? This is interesting because not every event has, a Facebook group beforehand that you can connect with attendees, but a lot of times you can ask the event organizers, who else is attending? Who is this event targeted to, etc. For me, I knew that most of my people were attending, but a lot of times they were speakers. And so I was very strategic about how I planned out my time at the events, which we'll kind of get to in a second, so that I made sure that I was in the right rooms or even in the right seats in the room, which again, you're going to probably call me crazy, but this is how stuff works, guys. Part 3 is accommodations. So this is a picture of my hotel room in Vegas when I went to Ask Live. And this is, how do I get there? Where will I stay? What will I eat? Like all of these logistical questions. Again, how do I get there? Are you driving? Are you flying and then taking a Lyft to the airport or to the hotel? Are you staying at a hotel? Are you staying at Airbnb? Can you stay with a friend or can you stay with a fellow attendee? There are multiple times where I have stayed at somebody's apartment or home that the event actually was at. And again, that's just through connections. I know people all over the world. And so chances are that I know somebody in pretty much every major city, thankfully. So I stay at people's houses a lot. And if I don't have somebody who I can stay with, then I usually stay in a hotel. It's very rare that I'm staying by myself. I always have an event buddy, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, 4, however many. And we all split an Airbnb or a hotel room. And this is, again, how you can cut costs. And also, I'm very loyal to Southwest Airlines. Don't get me started on why, because we'll be here for the rest of the evening. But I'm loyal to Southwest. And so I use their credit card, I get points, and then those points I'm able to use toward free flights. And again, the earlier that you know you're going to an event, the cheaper a lot of times the flights are and less points that I end up having to use for those flights. Also, Southwest has free cancellations. You just basically get a credit to another flight. So if you have to cancel last minute, you don't lose that money, which is huge for me because sometimes life happens and you can't end up going to all of the events that you plan. And then also when you are doing event tickets, this is important for you to. This is why it's important for you to be on people's email lists and stuff like that, because they always, I'm not going to say always, they most of the time have an early bird ticket price that is way cheaper than the actual price. Again, always, if not like 90% of the time, get tickets for like $197, $297, maybe $497. And that works out really to my advantage. I haven't gone to any of those retreats that end up being thousands of dollars, but again, I'm open to them, but that's not necessarily the best events for me because I tend to want to talk business and all of that, and retreats tend to not be centered around that. So I just know that about my business. And what will I eat? So funny story, I have a lot of allergies, and so I pretty much have one of those mom bags of snacks, but they're for myself. They're not for a child. So here's the thing. I'm super, super savvy. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. So I actually bring tea bags because I have them at home and it's much cheaper than buying tea there. And I actually just ask for hot water. A lot of times I get it for free. So that way I get my hot water and I use my tea bag and all is well. I also, bring granola bars or, bags of Justin's peanut butter cups. And that way the annoying costs really come from those little things where like, I'm just hungry and I just want to buy to eat. Let me not buy a $10 bag of chips with 3 chips in it, So being really strategic about the food you're eating. And what's also great about this is I can save a lot of money in a lot of ways. And then if I want to take somebody out to dinner, I can do that and I pay for their dinner and I make them feel loved. And again, it's that reciprocity of, oh my gosh, you just did something for me. Like, how can I support you? And it just builds the relationships that much faster. Next is aesthetics. Woohoo! So these may seem very, very silly to you. People are like, really, Jordan? You think about what you're wearing and how you're doing your hair? Yeah, I am. And this is because, let's be honest, guys, people judge books by their cover. And I have a very premium service. And so it's very rare for you to see me underdressed or dressed like everybody else. I really try to be dressed like everybody else, but maybe even a step or two above everyone else. Not because I'm elitist, not because I'm, whatever. But I want to send a message when I go to these events. And again, it just works. People don't question you if you look legit. No offense, but if you're wearing slouchy clothes and just kind of like messy haired, bebopping around, it's really hard for people to take you seriously. And so I always make it a point to wear clothes, one, that make me super comfortable, but also show that I'm serious and that I run a business. And again, it comes to my hair, even of is it going to be straight? Is it going to be curled? Am I going to have it half up, down, ponytail, bun? All of these things play a part. And it sounds super silly, but it really is about stepping into that part of your identity that you want to step into. You can totally ignore me and be like, Jordan, I'm going to wear yoga pants to the event. Cool. However, when you say that you're this much an hour or your package is X amount per month and people look at you crazy, it may have to do with just how you present yourself. And confidence is something that people look for in business. Like if you look confident, then therefore you're going to feel confident and you're going to be able to get clients a lot easier. So again, just looking at my outfits, like the dress on the left was from BCBG outlet. I think it was like $50-$60. The other outfit is a skirt from Ted Baker that was on sale, and that denim shirt is from Gap, guys. So it's really not, or it's like a chambray shirt, whatever you want to call it. So again, I'm not saying you have to go and buy dresses for $200, even though I have done that, because there again are, I guess, rooms that I want to be dressed to impress, literally. So aesthetics are huge, guys. And also a lot of times I will wear pieces that will attract people and be conversation starters. So I'll wear really cool earrings sometimes, or a cool watch, or really cute shoes. And then that's just a really easy icebreaker for people. Just say, hey, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. And I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. Like, hi, I'm Jordan. Hi, I'm Susie Q. Awesome. What's your business? And here we go. We're in a conversation. Very, very simple. So don't look past the aesthetic side of this, because it is a big, big part of it. And lastly is attention. So all of these photos are completely different events. So the biggest one, top leftish, that was at Funnel Hacking Live. It was here in Dallas. I hosted a bunch of people for dinner. The middle picture is LaunchCon and FinCon were in town. So I hosted some people at my house. And the last photo actually was when I was in Denver for a wedding. I actually connected with a few people from Denver on the internet, and I was like, hey, I'm going to be in Denver before I catch my flight. Like, do y'all want to hang out? So we actually met at the gal Johanna's house, who's in the gray tank top, and we connected over this amazing vegan meal and just broke bread and connected and just was like, hey, you're all awesome. This is another thing I do, is I'm always curating the hangouts. I'm always saying, hey, like, let's all go to dinner. And I make it really easy for people to say yes. I always am wanting people to be involved, and I hand pick people. So, for example, this middle photo, the gal with the reddish hair in the middle back is Heather Hubbard. Fun story, my sister actually edits her videos, and her and I are also connected because of somebody else. I saw she was coming to LaunchCon, and I was like, hey, like, you want to come over and hang out? And also what's funny is the gal on the far right, Black Girl Magic, her and then the gal in the reddish shirt, top leftish, they actually knew each other back in college. I did not know this. Two completely separate people. They came to my house and were like, oh my gosh, girl, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Literally. Like, what? Insane. So it's all about connections, you guys. And if you're the person who can curate a room really, really well, then people are always going to remember you. Always going to remember you. And people are going to want to stay connected with you because you are connecting them with other awesome people. Because sometimes it's not really about me, to be quite honest. I may not actually need something from you, but I just want to build a relationship. And if I can connect you to some other awesome, cool chicks, then I'm super excited about that. So I am huge about this. If you are like, I don't want to have a bajillion people around me, that sounds freaking scary. Here's some other advice, is how you can stand out in the actual event room. So you can stand out by, asking a question when a speaker is asking for a question. And here's the thing, is I always make it so that the speaker looks really good. That's always my goal when asking a question, is I want them to be excited to answer my question, and it builds a connection with me and the speaker, especially if I'm wanting to connect with that actual speaker. I ask a question that excites them and maybe they haven't been asked before. And maybe I want to know the answer, but maybe not. But really it's about standing out in the crowd. Also, it helps everybody in the room know my name. So there was an event, I went to a sales conference in Baltimore, and there was this quiz thing that we all had to do. And the response that I got as my archetype was the bitch. And there was one person from each archetype that was supposed to come up on stage. And so I opted to go up on stage, and crazy thing, guys. I don't cry. And when we were talking, it was a very vulnerable space in that particular moment. And I cried on stage, which again, still makes me super embarrassed. But it was a room full of women. There was about 50 of us. And I kid you not, after I got off the stage, I got so much attention and so much love. And it was crazy. And I connected with some bomb people from that event. And also there was a callback, throughout the whole event that basically was like, hi, I'm Jordan. I'm the bitch that cried on stage. And it was just a funny part of the event that everybody remembered. And so my name just continued to feed into the rest of the room. So again, you don't have to cry on stage, guys. But how do you stand out, and how do you make it so that people remember who you are? I get it. I am an extrovert. So, if you're starting to be like, Jordan, I'm an introvert, this sounds awful, I get it. However, if you want to build your business, you have to be seen. And so if you get up on stage, or if you ask a question and that terrifies you, then, go up to your room afterwards for a couple hours to just reset, digest, get your introvert on. Nothing wrong with that. And also, how do I create a real connection? Here's the thing. I'm terrible at remembering people's names. And I'm really, this is still to this day. But I always try to remember the conversations we have. And a lot of times, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and from Dale Carnegie. And that book has left such an imprint on me that I actually still use a lot of the suggestions from that book. And one of them is the sweetest sound to everybody is their name. And so if you can remember their name, like you have a conversation with them and then later on you're like, oh, Jill, I just said, I just saw this and like, I totally thought of you. There's a book that you should totally read and I don't know why I didn't think of it. But again, just saying Jill will make Jill feel like, oh my gosh, she remembers me. And that means a lot. And then also ask interesting questions. Don't ask stupid, boring questions. A lot of times, I'm about to embark on being a dog mom. And so a lot of times I'll see if somebody has a dog and I'm like, oh my gosh, can you give me advice? I'm freaking out. I don't want her to pee everywhere. What the heck am I going to do? What am I getting myself into? And people love talking about that stuff. Or if I know somebody's single, we talk about how crazy dating life is. Or if they love Netflix documentaries, we talk about different shows that I've really enjoyed watching. Talk about things other than business, which sounds counterintuitive. But if you can connect with somebody on something outside of business, then you can connect with them on business. So again, how do you give value? Book recommendations or people you can connect them to that could be a collaboration or even a client for them. Giving value, again, pay for their dinner. Those are ways that you can give value. Sometimes I also send gifts. So I will go and buy something at the actual event that I'm at and then give it to them the next day and be like, you know what? I was out and about and I found this really cute candle. It reminded me of you. Here you go. That's how you give value, you guys. So attention is huge. You have to get the attention of who you're talking to. One last thing before I give it up, this comes to the end, is when I'm in the room, I don't just sit anywhere and I don't just sit next to anybody. Depending on who I'm trying to connect with, I will sit. So if I'm trying to connect with speakers or really busy people who tend to be my audience or my clients, I actually sit on the outskirts of the room. So either the back row or on the sides. And because those people always have to go in and out because they're having to catch a call or, talk to their family or whatever else. And I'm going to sit next to them. Works so awesome. I actually got that from a sales coach I had. If I am not necessarily looking to connect with speakers, but I want to connect with really awesome people, here's what I do. I scan the room before I get in, before I sit down, and I look for people who are fidgeting. I look for people who look like they're pouting or negative. And I look for people who just don't look really excited to be there. I avoid all of those people. I do not sit there. I usually will sit next to people who are already having a conversation with somebody, and I insert myself as the third person because I know that person is here like seriously and they're here to get something out of it. Which again, it's like, what is even happening, Jordan? But that's so important because you have to protect your energy. I went to a conference and it really rocked my entire energetic state. I was crying afterwards and I left early and it was awful. And ever since then, I have been very, very strategic about who I sit next to and the types of conferences I go to because I don't want that to happen to me again. So again, attention, really, really big. Hopefully that has been so helpful to you. Again, I'll go through, part 1, attendance, part 2, audience, part 3, accommodations, part 4, aesthetic, and part 5, attention. So hopefully y'all were able to find some really great nuggets in there. And if you are going to an event, please do not hesitate to shout me out, DM me on Instagram or send me an email, whatever is best for you. Because I've got a lot of events on my docket this year too. I'm going to be doing less than last year. I went to 30 events last year, you guys. That's what we call psychotic. But I love events, and it's one of the best marketing strategies out there. And a lot of people aren't talking about it. That, people talk about speaking, but they don't talk about how you can make this effective as an attendee. And I really hope you took some nuggets away. Thank you so much again. And I hope to connect with you soon.